Yeah, and I mean, we're going to stay with the RB Leipzig theme, and I'm going to go with Assan Ouédraogo. And people say, He's like, that's not a completely unknown entity, and it's not. We just haven't really talked about how incredible he has been this year. There was so much hype about Leonard Carl and Said Al-Mala and a bunch of other players that it's almost gotten lost that after losing in a complete season due to injury at RB Leipzig, that Assan Ouédraogo is in my opinion underlining the tag that he is the most outstanding German talent. Period. Right? He has been phenomenal for Leipzig. He's one of their most important players in that midfield. Completely a complete player, a meter 91 tall. I was very, very fortunate to interview him the summer before last. Fantastic young kid, very dynamic, elegant, good on the ball. And I've been trying to look for comparisons when it comes to him and the way he moves and the way he plays. And you know who he reminds me of, Stefan? He reminds me of a young Michael Ballack. It's very, very similar, kind of like the athleticism in particular. And people forget that before Michael Ballack became a professional football player, he emerged out of that East German football system, right? But he was supposed to become a speed skater, right? And that was actually something that really helped him with his athleticism and his ability to stay upright and be really good with his feet. And he had this really, really weird shooting technique that when I was a kid, Sportbild actually did an entire article analyzing Michael Ballack's shooting technique and where it came from. And when you look at the way Ouédraogo moves through midfield, especially because he's quite tall, right? He's a meter 91, so 6'3". I find there's a lot of parallels. And the other parallel that I see increasingly as he moves further down the pitch, because at Schalke he almost played as like a number 10. At Leipzig, his role is a little bit further back, is how dominant he is with the ball. He has that ability to just be completely upright with the ball and be really strong with the ball. And I mean, he's now called up to Germany's national team. I think the DFB in general is moving a little bit faster with these dual nationals. There's been too many losses in recent months. And when the possibility arose because of Amiri's injury, he was called up. And, with Kimmich being out for the game against Luxembourg, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him, Stefan.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that, actually. I was just thinking, actually, one player he could end up being quite similar to is maybe Toni Kroos, which is perhaps an odd comparison to make at this moment in time because he's such a agile, fast player, but people always underrated Toni Kroos' ability to dribble with the ball, ability to not get to not lose the ball. But I think more than anything else, they overlooked his physique, his size, his strength, because he played in central midfield, because he was seen as this kind of neat and tidy holding midfielder. And as you said, like we don't really quite know where he's going to end up playing, as his career unfolds. We can maybe even draw a comparison to Leon Goretzka, who also came through at Schalke, who started off as this kind of exciting, fast attacking player, but obviously once he eventually found his feet at Bayern, he's a player who kind of maybe decided to kind of go more into the kind of physical side of things and became this kind of dominant box-to-box player. We don't know where Ouédraogo's going to end up, but yeah, in terms of like his passing is exquisite, especially into the final third, and his dribbling is a real thing that stands out to me as well. So he could really play anywhere in that midfield. He can play as number 8, he could play as number 10, he could play as number 6. And it'll be interesting to see where Leipzig and Germany want to play him going forward. But once again, Manu, you could put together a hall of fame of players that Schalke have let go of for pennies. You could probably put together a decent German national team of players in the last 20 years that have left Schalke and gone on to greatness. I mean, off the top of my head, Goretzka, Neuer, Sani, now Ouédraogo. I'm sure there's probably other ones as well. Ozil, yeah, so it's obviously a hotbed, Gelsenkirchen for footballers, and Ouédraogo's the latest example of that. So, really exciting player, and I'm really excited to see how he does at Schalke. Sorry, Leipzig and the German national team.
He's, I think once Jamal comes back, he will go along just well with him, because like Jamal Musiala, he loves playing basketball in his off time. And I remember when Benjamin Šeško was a guy at Leipzig too. Huge basketball fan, and learned a lot of his skills that you could see on the field. from playing basketball. And apparently Assan is a huge basketball fan, plays it all the time in his off time. So I think that's a lot where the agility comes from too. So yeah, really good player.